A long time ago, in a village, there lived a lovely little girl named Vasilisa. One day her mother gave her a priceless gift, a small cloth doll that appeared to be quite ordinary. Along with the doll, her mother gave her a piece of advice. Vasilisa, take special care of this doll. Every night feed it milk and biscuits. As long as you do this, the doll will help you through every difficulty. Vasilisa followed her mother's words faithfully. Every night before going to bed, she would offer the doll milk and biscuits to eat some. Time later, Vasilisa's mother fell gravely ill, and eventually she passed away due to the illness. After her mother's death, Vasilisa's father became worried about raising her alone, so he decided to remarry. His new wife already had 2 daughters of her own. The truth was that they were deeply jealous of Vasilisa and secretly hated her. As long as Vasilisa's father was at home, the stepmother and stepsisters pretended to like her. But as soon as her father was away, they would assign her all the household chores. Time passed and 16 years went by in this manner. By now, Vasilisa had grown into a beautiful young woman. Dear, I have to leave for a month for work. Take care of yourself. On the very first night after Vasilisa's father left for a journey, the stepmother gathered her daughters and devised a plan to get rid of Vasilisa. Vasilisa, go to Baba Yaga's hut in the forest and bring back a lantern for light. That night, before leaving, Vasilisa fed her doll milk and biscuits as usual. Then, she sat beside it for a while and said, Dear little doll, my mother told me that if I fed you and cared for you, you would help me in my times of need. I have fed you and taken care of you. Now I am in great trouble. I must go to Baba Yaga, and everyone knows she is a wicked witch. Please tell me what I should do. The doll replied, Be as brave as you are beautiful. Go to Baba Yaga's hut and no harm will come to you. The night was deep and silence enveloped everything. Vasilisa, trembling with fear, made her way through the forest. The eerie sounds of wild animals in the dark made her even more frightened. As she reached a broken tree, she spotted Baba Yaga's strange and peculiar hut in the distance. It stood high on chicken legs, undoubtedly the hut of the infamous witch. This terrifying hut could move on its own, wandering here and there and chasing children. Its 2 front windows looked like angry, glaring eyes, and its door resembled the gaping mouth of a giant. As Vasilisa approached the door, it creaked open by itself. Near the entrance, a thin, scruffy dog was gnawing on an old bone. Vasilisa hesitated, but then offered the dog a piece of her sandwich, saying, It might not be very fresh, but it's all I have. The dog quickly gobbled it up, licking its lips in satisfaction. Nearby, Vasilisa noticed Baba Yaga's maid crying bitterly, wiping her tears with her sleeve. The witch had burdened her with endless tasks. Feeling sorry for her, Vasilisa shook out the cloth she had wrapped her sandwich in and handed it to the maid to dry her tears. Maid smiled faintly through her sobs, grateful for the small gesture. Suddenly a harsh voice rang out. Who is it? Who dares come here? Come inside at once. Vasilisa stepped inside, and there sat Baba Yaga at her loom weaving. Her tangled white hair framed her long crooked nose, and when she smiled, her iron teeth gleamed menacingly. What brings you here, my dear niece? Baba Yaga asked with a sly grin. My stepmother sent me to you to fetch a lantern for light, Vasilisa replied. Sit at the loom and continue weaving, Baba Yaga instructed. I'll fetch the lantern for you. The witch chuckled, her iron teeth glinting. She knew how much her sister despised her stepdaughter. Vasilisa sat at the loom and began to weave. Meanwhile, Baba Yaga called out to her maid, Light the fire and boil the water well. I'll cook a fine meal with this girl. Are you still weaving, my dear niece? Baba Yaga asked. Yes, auntie, I am weaving, Vasilisa replied, her hands trembling as she worked. While weaving, Vasilisa noticed a skinny black cat staring intently at a mouse hole. What are you doing? She whispered to the cat. I'm waiting for the mouse, the cat replied. I haven't eaten in 3 days. How fortunate that I have a little cheese left, Vasilisa said, pulling a piece from her pocket. She gave it to the cat, who devoured it eagerly. The cat then whispered, The witch plans to eat you with her iron teeth, but I know how you can escape. As Baba Yaga peered through the window again, she called out, "Are you weaving, my sweet niece?" "Yes, auntie, I'm weaving," Vasilisa answered, keeping up the pretense. When the witch disappeared again into the kitchen, the black cat leaned in close and said, "Do you see that stool over there with the towel and comb on it? You must take them immediately. When the witch starts chasing you, throw the towel behind you. It will turn into a wide rushing river and slow her down. When she crosses the river, throw the comb. It will grow into a dense forest so thick that she'll never get through." Vasilisa said, "But if I leave, she'll hear the loom stop and she'll know I've gone." "Don't worry," the black cat reassured her. "I'll take care of that." With that, the black cat hopped onto the loom and began working in Vasilisa's place, making the same rhythmic sounds to keep Baba Yaga from noticing anything amiss. Vasilisa noticed that Baba Yaga was still busy in the kitchen. Without wasting any time, she quickly grabbed the towel and the comb and darted towards the door. The large dog guarding the entrance sprang up ready to attack her. But as soon as he recognized her, the same kind girl who had shared her sandwich with him, he wagged his tail and stepped aside. "Stay safe, child," the dog said warmly, letting her pass. With a grateful nod, Vasilisa clutched the items tightly and ran as fast as her legs could carry her. Back inside, the black cat continued working at the loom in Vasilisa's place, and Baba Yaga, hearing no other sound, jumped into the room. But instead of finding the girl weaving, she saw only the black cat, tangled in threads. Furious, Baba Yaga grabbed the cat and shook it violently. "Why didn't you tear out that girl's eyes?" she demanded. The cat replied, "In all these years, you've only given me water and forced me to find my own food. But that girl gave me real cheese." The witch, still furious, turned to her maid, holding her by the collar. "You delayed heating the water on purpose, didn't you?" The maid, trembling, answered, "In all these years, you've never given me anything, not even a piece of cloth. But the girl gave me a beautiful handkerchief." Baba Yaga's rage intensified. "Why didn't you tear the girl apart when she was running away?" The dog replied, "In all these years, you've only given me an old bone." "But the girl gave me her sandwich." The witch, enraged, climbed into her magical motor and began flying through the air in search of Vasilisa. Below, Vasilisa, running through the trees, stumbled and glanced fearfully over her shoulder. Baba Yaga, flying swiftly, soon caught up with her, but Vasilisa ran even faster, her heart racing. Then Vasilisa remembered the black cat's advice. In panic, she threw the towel behind her. The towel grew larger and wetter, forming a wide, deep river between her and Baba Yaga. The river was magical and impossible to cross. Baba Yaga, frustrated, gathered all her cows and made them drink up the river's water. Once they drank it all, she resumed chasing Vasilisa. But then Vasilisa remembered what the black cat had said about the comb. She threw it behind her, and it grew into a dense forest with thick branches. Baba Yaga, stuck in the forest, screeched in anger and frustration, eventually giving up and flying back to her hut. Exhausted, Vasilisa finally reached home. She was too afraid to face her stepmother, so she waited outside in the shed. Coincidentally, her father returned home early that day. This time, Vasilisa had no fear. She immediately told her father everything that had happened. When her father found out that his wife had sent his own daughter to Baba Yaga to be eaten, he was furious. He kicked her and her daughters out of the house, never to return. From that day on, he took great care of Vasilisa and never allowed any stranger to come between them again.